Hey, what's up guys? Today we're quickly gonna answer a very common question, which is, should you freak out if you're still losing your hair or shedding while being on finasteride? And the short answer, maybe. If you started using finasteride in the last 2 years, then the answer is no. If you've been using for more than 2 years, then maybe. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. You still here?
You want more information?
Okay, let's discuss further. So this question has been coming up so many times, I cannot really count, to be honest. And recently one guy asked me on the comments under one of my videos. I previously took finasteride in 2019-2020 for approximately 9 months. I was always thinning on the top, so I had used topic for several years. This got to the point where it was not effective and as it used to be. I found, however, with finasteride, I continued to shed for the entire 9 months I took it. There was no slowing down or regrowth seen. I expected some shedding, however, it seemed to be large amounts. I ended up stopping and shedding continued for a period. He was 9 months on finasteride. He didn't mention which dose he was, but I assume it was 1 milligram a day. So according to the studies which were done on 1 milligram a day, you can expect more efficacy, more continuous efficacy for the first 2 years of starting the treatment. What I mean by that? In the first 24 months, you can gradually slow down your hair loss or even stop. And for different people, gonna be a different, time frame. Some people manage to stop it completely in just 3 months. For some, like me, for example, it takes so much longer. For my personal experience, when I started using finasteride, it didn't stop completely hair loss for the first 14 months. Think about it. 14 months, that's over a year, it's a long period of time. And the only thing I've noticed is my shedding kind of slowed down. So if before finasteride I was shedding, for example, like 50 hairs, per day, and I know some might say,
Oh, but you can lose up to 100 hairs per day, it's absolutely fine.
But you need to think about it, that all of these studies that were done where they claiming that it's normal to lose up to 100 hairs per day for people are mainly done on people that have full head of hairs. When I started the finasteride, I was Norwood 5A, so vast majority of my hair was gone. So 50 hair, for me, it's a lot of hair. Nonetheless, for the first, I think, 6 months, I noticed my shedding slowed down a little bit. So instead of losing 50 hairs, for example, I started losing, I don't know, 25. Double that. I was still losing, it was still visible, but it was not as much. At least that's what I noticed. And this kind of plateaued like that until I've reached 14 months being on medication. And that's when I actually noticed that, wait a second, I don't see any hair fall at all, like any shedding. Whenever I'm in the shower, for example, I'm shampooing my hair, I sometimes there is literally no hairs in there. Of course, again, it comes back to the same, how much hair I have left, on the top. I'm pretty much already at the very end of my, potential hair loss. I lost most of it. And to be honest, between month 14 and month 24, I feel like I've noticed more like a regrowth. Again, it's pretty minor, it's mainly crown, and mid-scalp actually. And it brings quite a lot of, hairs. Again, it's not enough to avoid second transplant, hence why I did it. And it's still really thin, it's nothing spectacular. But to me, I saw how much hairs I had before and how much hairs I have got right now. It's a big difference. So yeah, don't panic, stay the course. And to prove it even further, let's have a look at a really interesting study that's been done over 10-year period. I'm sure a lot of you guys already seen it, but in case you didn't, it's very promising. So this study was done in Japan, in 523 Japanese men, long-term 10-year studies. And it's overall pretty good study. Like the only minus, let's say in my opinion, that the way they used to check the progress was only a picture, so like a picture evaluation comparing A and B, like 1 year to first year and second year, for example. So that's not the best way to track the progress. The best way is to use a microscopic pictures to actually have a proper hair count, but nonetheless it's still great source of information. 523 men been using 1 milligram per day of finasteride. The efficacy was objectively assessed using the Norwood Hamilton scale and modified global photographic assessment. Okay, so pictures A and B are the baseline, so that's before any treatment. He's looks like a Norwood 5. Pictures C and D were taken after 6 months. To be honest, we don't really need even to make a proper hair count, like we can visually see it's a huge improvement just after 6 months. So this is 2 years after the starting the treatment. And look at that. He regrew so much hair, especially in the mid-scalp, but it gets better. Pictures G and H are after 5 years, 60 months of being on finasteride. It looks better than it was looking after 2 years of being on finasteride. So many people are, scared shitless that, oh, after 1 year, that's it. Like there is, I've reached my peak of finasteride. No. Another patient with the yearly progress. Picture A was his baseline. B, it's after 1 year. Again, not something dramatic, but there is some improvement. And most of people, that's where they find themselves. And they like start to think, oh, that's it. Like, finasteride not gonna do anything. Picture C is after 2 years and it's improved. Like, look at that. The frontal forelock improved, mid-scalp improved, crown a little bit improved, but overall lateral humps and like everything kind of shrinked. So his bald spot is like smaller overall. Picture D is at 3 years. And look, of course the hair is shorter, but overall it still looks better than it was a year ago. Picture E, then 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. 10 years of being on finasteride, 1 milligram a day. And now compare 1 year result and 10 year result. So if you're thinking, oh no, I'm stuck, I'm still losing hair, there is no more improvement. No. Just keep doing what you're doing. The most interesting fact for me personally from this study was the curve that they found. The more severe your hair loss pattern, let's say your classification on a Norwood scale is, the less response you're gonna get. If according to them, if you're between Norwood 1 and 3 and you start your treatment, you're gonna expect much more efficacy long term than if you would start as of Norwood 5 and 7. With each year, Norwood 1 efficacy was skyrocketing up to year 6. And then year 8 and 9 again went up. Very similar situation as well to Norwood 2 and 3. Norwood 4 experienced much less efficacy compared to Norwood 1, 2, 3, but still much better than 5, so it's still not that bad. But if you look at the 5, it reaches its peak at like 2 years, maybe 3 years, it stays the same, and then kind of stays either the same or goes down, goes up a little bit, fluctuates, but it's still pretty stable. But for Norwood 6 and 7, they kind of reached their peak at between year 1 and year 2, and after that it was slowly decreasing. So again, it was still working, and as we see the pictures, of course this is the average. We just saw a picture of Norwood 5 that was looking pretty good, but nonetheless, even if you're Norwood 6 or 7, in 10 years time you're still gonna be able to keep so much hair. Here they said in summary as well that long-term 10-year androgenic alopecia treatment with finasteride 1 day, 1 milligram per day, demonstrated high efficacy and safety based on subjective and objective evaluations in Japanese men. Specifically, the Norwood Hamilton classification of AGA patients improved by approximately 1 grade. Furthermore, a novel discovery of this study was that the group between Norwood 1 and 3 at first visit showed greater improvement than the group between Norwood 4 and 7. At the first visit. And following 10 years of androgenic alopecia treatment with finasteride, we recommended that AGA patients should start treatment with 1 milligram per day of finasteride at early stages of classification of androgenic alopecia within Norwood 1, 2 or 3 for adequate efficacy. So there you have it. Hope that answers your question. Just keep doing what you're doing, guys. Don't stop. Finasteride works if it's male pattern baldness. It works long term. Check your side effects if you are doing well, but if you're doing well, do not stop. And do not throw a kitchen sink. Stay on finasteride for at least 1 year, but better 2 years, and then reassess. If you need to add something, if you need to decrease, increase. And it's possible that if you're using a lower dose than 1 milligram per day, maybe you need like a longer time period to achieve the same efficacy like these guys did. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful and kind of give you a little bit more perspective. And yeah, for now I actually have to go to, hit the gym. But yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, like the video as well, and I'm gonna be soon posting my update on my transplant as well as oral minoxidil, which is gonna be pretty interesting to be honest. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss this, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.